Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. My name is Natan Brahowski. I am your host with the most. Today, on this wonderful episode on the Frequency of Abundance group, I wanted to share a little bit more on a personal side that I normally don't get to. And so we talk a lot about mental training, focus, concentration. We talk a lot about different marketing and tactics and psychology and philosophies. We cover a huge array of topics here, and we have guests. So if you'd like to come and be a guest, if you'd like to speak on a topic, if you want to have a spotlight shined on you, please, please, please reach out to me. I'll put my contact in the chat. Hold on a sec. Let me do that now. Okay. Contact is in the chat. So we've got some information. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Like I said, Frequency of Abundance. We are here 7 days a week, so Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Today is Triumphant Thursdays. Do 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 do. We even have a little bit on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. I let you sleep in a bit, so we're looking at 1 in the afternoon. Now, you can always find me here, LinkedIn, Facebook, broadcast and beamed and restreamed, YouTube, everywhere, all the good places. And so, as I invite you, here we go. Take a look here. So if you wanted to join us over at the Frequency of Abundance, go to LinkedIn. There's the link here is in the chat as well, but literally click the Frequency of Abundance, click groups, search is done. You're there. You found us. Join us and you can see content like this. Join us in our paid community. It's tens of dollars a month, but it'll give you access to networking. We genuinely believe that the tide raises all boats. So there's support, there's different group coaching scenarios, there's so much fun and so much community. So we invite you to come, hang with us, get deeper involved, give yourself the permission to go on that deeper dive. Now, if any of this spotlight stuff is of interest to you, by all means, I'll give you a 30-second background about me, and then we're going to start today's party. It's going to be a cool one, I'm telling you. So, I've been an elite mental training specialist, oh goodness, energy coach now for about 30 years. I started with Olympians, national sports teams, Cirque du Soleil acrobats, artists, and focused on about probably 15,000 people in the last 30 years coming through my hands. Wrote a couple best selling books on energy, personal momentum, peak performance, moments of power, quotes of wisdom. There's different areas that I wanted to focus on and was very, very happy offline. And then COVID hit and I needed to pivot and I didn't want to, you know, what do you call it? Just make cat videos like everybody else. So I thought I'd make it easy. And I thought I would come in and, if you're a coach offline for 30 years, how hard can this online thing be? And it was horrible. It was horrible. I couldn't get the technology to work. MailChimp and Squarespace kept disconnecting randomly every couple hours, and I couldn't tell why. I couldn't get the marketing to work. And I couldn't understand why it always felt like I'm doing, last week's marketing, and that's why it's not working because I'm not doing this week's marketing. So, always felt slow, behind. Didn't matter if I had education, experience, expertise. It was awful. And when I wanted to make a bigger change and help others, that's where I focused in on Allura Creative Agency, where we really became a public relations firm, putting on these one of a kind exclusive executive events like Leadership Roundtable Series or Tequila and Tech Talks or, my goodness, Financial Fireside Chats. So much fun, so much creativity, so much positivity, and an incredible way to blow a dog whistle if you're hunting whales like C suite executives, leaders. Our one of a kind hosted events where I come and I introduce you and I introduce your offer so you don't have to really comes across for the leaders, the founders, the executives, the C suite. So if you're hunting whales and you want a bigger harpoon, give me a call. If you're looking to get some more exposure and you wanted to come on the show and talk about some things, give me a shout. And without further ado, let's get this incredible Triumphant Thursday started. Today's topic: the journey from martial arts to mental mastery. Speckled into my little background, you may not know, I've been in the martial arts, I know it says here 30 years, but I think it's closer to 40 now. And more importantly, it's held a very incredible place in my heart as part of who I am and how I've developed as a person, as part of kind of a neat snapshot through life. And so it can look at these snapshots and you can really paint a picture and see where you were and what was going on in your life at different times. And martial arts does that for me as well, beautifully. So let's say we go back over what I had just said in those last 30 years, and now let's speckle the martial arts in there. And I think you'll see it's bigger than I can even normally look at. I came as an immigrant from the former Soviet Union. I'm 5'3", 5'4" on a good day if you squint and the wind is just right. The sun is good. And never was a big guy. So would get bullied and picked on in elementary school, stuffed into lockers, those kind of things. We moved around a lot, so that didn't help. And I didn't go to the martial arts for, confidence or weight loss or some of those other things that people do. I don't know. I went there specifically to try to save my butt because I didn't want to keep getting stuffed into lockers. So going to a martial art practice of any kind was a huge deal for me. Getting over the physicality of things, the fear of things and such. And then there's this beautiful, calm inner peace that comes. After you've worked and pushed and tested yourself a little bit and kind of found a way to bite off more than you could chew and then proceed to find a way to chew it. It's sort of interesting. So I started with Hapkido, which is Korean. There's joint locks, there's pressure points. It's a primarily defensive martial art. There's not a lot of attacks. It's 99% defenses. So if somebody attacks you, grabs you, punches you, kicks you, these are different ways to control the person and get out. And that was a beautiful, wonderful start for me. Did that for years until we moved. And that was kind of the theme, that I didn't pick the martial arts. I went through Hapkido, Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Kurokai Kung Fu, Systema, and then the last few years was Iaido, the Japanese art of drawing the sword. So in the range of that, and now I'm turning 51 in a couple of weeks for my birthday. So we've got a window of more than 40 years in there with half a dozen different martial arts. And the journey of the first one, which got me out of getting grabbed and manhandled and held and being able to defend myself and get out of those situations, really, really helped from that elementary school. Then went into the Taekwondo. And Taekwondo was neat because it was much more aggressive and much more overt and much more action-packed, yet there was no contact. And so I kind of missed the contact that I had, the grabbing and the flipping and the very physicality of the Hapkido. And Taekwondo didn't have it, and yet both are Korean martial arts. So I was like, what an incredible difference. Completely polar opposites. And there I'd experienced a little bit, well, you know what, you're young, right? Like, so I think I was probably 12, maybe 14 at the time. And I was coming from another martial art where I was almost a black belt. And so I'd had a couple years of training. Even though I was a white belt here, the people that I was sparring look at you that way. And that's a great lesson that we can touch on. Just because I'm wearing a white belt doesn't mean I am a white belt. It means I'm a white belt in whatever patch, uniform, school this is. That's all. You have no clue what my background is. So in that first sparring, I was able to spar other white belts and go all the way up and had a blast. And got to a point where now I'm sparring people that are, blue belts, red belts, all the way up to this guy that was, he's supposed to be a black belt, but before 18, where I was, you weren't allowed. So he was red, black stripe and 17 years old and holding on to it until he turned. And it bothered him that he couldn't hit me cleanly. And so I'd always be either moving or dodging or just defensively being able to protect myself, because that's the last couple of years of training where I'd come from. And when he got frustrated, he jumped up, did this high kick, caught me right in the throat, sent me back, and I'm just on the ground. And I couldn't breathe, and stars are spinning in my eyes and stuff. And that was a first. And it was, wow. You know, and out of the corner of my eye, I could see there was the instructor, the head sensei, just grabbing that guy and giving him absolute shit. Like, what is wrong with you? Number one, the guy's a white belt. Number two, he's a new student. Number three, you're supposed to have decorum. And you're supposed to have a certain semblance of somebody who's right about to become a black belt. Black belt is not a, let's define it in that sense. So black belt in some martial arts is the beginning, in the sense that until this point, your teacher, your sensei, your master, he can't teach you the good stuff. He can't teach you the cool stuff, because he's nervous that you're going to try to, kick somebody in the head and fall down and hurt yourself. So if you can't do the basics, which is what your black belt signifies, congrats, you've learned the basics well, and all of them. So that'll take a minute, but that's what it signifies. And now, as the levels increase, it gets to mean something else. So there's a honing, there's a beautiful extra facet to the diamond that you get to see as you keep scaling up. At the same time, conceptually, something else happens and changes for you as well. In Canada, we had it that basically when you became a black belt, it also signified that whatever martial art or school you were in, you now, if your sensei approved, had permission to go and open your own school. All you needed was that first degree black belt, and you could go and open your own school in the same tradition. But wouldn't that be interesting? And so now it became all of a sudden a business opportunity and things. So I see all of this when I'm, a teenager, and it kind of goes over me, but at the same time kind of still stuck. And I was just like, interesting. And then moved from Taekwondo, where I was now starting to get better in understanding distancing and pacing and speed and the rhythm of the fight. That it's a dance. And that if he's at 2-4 beat, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I'm at 4-4 beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. We're perfectly in sync. All of our movements are absolutely going to counter block each other. We're going to look like a really good or really bad choreographed fight movie. But if I can catch that he's in 2-4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I can switch my fighting to 3-4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, I'll hit him every time. Because the second he twitches, I've already hit him. Not because I'm faster, but because I understand his timing. The same way when a windmill spins around, you can jump through, crazy as it sounds, once you understand the timing. So there's that sense inside there. And there's a huge gap between that physical and that mental discipline to be able to go through that. There's so much. There's a mindset that'll give you an insight for personal growth. But it's very difficult to be aware of said mindset while experiencing it at the same time. Like you're sitting there meditating, and I remember I was in Hapkido, and we would kneel, and we'd put our knuckles on our knees, and we'd close our eyes, and we'd breathe through our nose, in, out through the mouth. My sensei said, listen, I don't care if a bee comes by and stings you on the nose. You don't move. You don't blink. You don't breathe differently. I thought that was so cool. I was really happy it never happened. But I thought that was so cool. And it put the severity into it. I remember when I came, and I'm coming as a teenager, to martial art class and stuff. And so, you're at home, your mom's like, hey, go clean your room. Or go wash the floor. Or, maybe go do something. And meanwhile, you're like, ah. But then you get to the dojo, and your sensei's like, Natan, I will honor you with the broom. You may now sweep the floor. And you're like, ah! And it's this incredible moment. It means so much respect. It means an acknowledgement that they see that you start to see what's going on around you. That you're starting to pick up what everybody's putting down. It's so wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for the comments. Yes. How many? So, how interesting. So many different types of teaching, expand global thinking. Amazing cross pollination from martial arts to business. Thank you. We haven't even gotten to the fun stuff yet. So, we're going through and we're having some fun. My contact's in the chat. You can reach out to me anytime you want. Join us in the group. And where we're coming from now is now we're going from the ability to go, hey, how is it that my perception of sweeping the dojo is different than my perception of sweeping my kitchen at home? Why do I go woohoo for one as a privilege and an honor that other people would fight me for at the dojo compared to at home? Nobody wants to. Why? There's a different sense of ownership when you know that everything around you is yours. And if you're going to bend over and pick up that piece of dirt, it's only for you as a benefit. It's not for others, it's for you. And this is yours. So wouldn't you want to pick up that piece of dirt? Wouldn't you want to look around? And there's that connotation that somebody understands that you're a serious person. You understand the severity of what's going on around you. This is martial. Martial means death. This is an art. Art means life. How the hell are we blending both of these together so well? That's the dance. And that can be a beautiful, deadly thing. Like watching an incredibly powerful animal. They're beautiful when they're hunting another animal. And deadly. They're not mutually exclusive, those two terms. They're just very rarely seen. So somebody like Bruce Lee, beautiful, deadly. Great example. Now we're looking at a little bit further on down the road, and now I'm starting to leave Taekwondo because we moved again. You're catching the theme here. And now it's time to go tough guy stuff. The only place close enough to me, because that is the underlying reason why, if your parents aren't going to drive you, and you don't have time to take the bus and this and that because you still got homework and chores and, then it's not going to make it. In between all of this, I was a concert pianist when I was 12. I won the Aquinas Music Festival. I had students when I was 14 in my own private music school. I also was involved in things that's on my mom's side. She's a concert pianist. On my dad's side, I was involved in sports. So I was at a provincial level power tumbler and working on competitions and going and touring around and, like doing all of that, the drive 6 hours, go to a compete, come back. And those incredible moments in there. I remember I was second place in all of Alberta and only needed a couple more points to win to separate me and the other guy who was in first. And there was one meet left, and we drove like 6 hours to get there. And I got injured in warm-up. There's a track that you're tumbling on, and it's wide enough. But as you're going back handsprings and flips and turns and stuff, it's hard to keep track of those lines on the ground and correct yourself in midair because it's not something you can tell yourself. When you're doing a back handspring and you're jumping from your feet to your hands, pushing off your hands and your feet, all that happens in under 2 seconds. The more of them you do, the faster that happens. So that now it starts happening in under 1 second. When you're going head, toe, head, toe, head, toe, that quickly, what time do you have to give yourself instructions? And, pretend we slowed it down for you. What instructions would you give? You can't be coach and athlete at the same time. It doesn't work. So in that, all I was able to do was listen. And I was listening to the hands, feet, ba-boom, 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 ba-boom. And in my mind, all I tried to do was just pick one word, either faster or slower. And my body would figure out what to do. So if I needed to go faster, it'd go faster because I didn't have enough speed to do the big twisty flippy thing at the end. If I felt like, oh shit, I'm going to run out of road, I need to slow down until I felt slow enough that I could actually consciously now be aware when to stop. It's neat the things that you can do when you allow yourself. So between the high level piano, between the high level power tumbler, those aspects were also going on, which is why I was busy enough that I didn't have time to go find the martial arts school of my dreams somewhere, convince my parents or take the bus to go there. Just didn't work out. So in my life, whatever was available was what was available. And to me, every art was beautiful. I never judged the art by the instructor. Some could be good instructors, some could be good people, some not. I look at the beauty in the art for itself. And then selfishly, is it something that turns me on? Do I like it? Is that exciting? Is that something you want to try to one day spend a lot of time and energy to be able to do? If it doesn't, then don't. Wrong art. Pick another art. Pick an art that does do that for you. That does go, wow, I want to spend years to do this so that I can one day do that. That's cool. Perfect. When I left Taekwondo and we moved, and the next place was Muay Thai, Thai boxing. That was the beginning of a very marked change. That was when I was now 17, 18 years old. Now I'm a young adult. Now things are different. Now I'm going through a full contact sport where physical training and impact training and toughening of the body is essential. It's not just maybe or a good idea. So I remember one of the first days it's Mike Miles National Kickboxing, and I'm in the ring and I'm with a guy on the national team. And because I just came from Taekwondo, and at that time Van Damme movies were really big, and I remember learning how to do the Van Damme jump spinning scissor kick. It looks all pretty and stuff, kind of do the splits. And I did that to the guy, but in Taekwondo form, which means I came that close to his nose, went whew, landed, and went point. And he looked at me and went, interesting. And he picked up his leg and he Thai kicked me on my leg. And I just felt like a crumbled card deck. And I tried to stand up and I couldn't. I couldn't walk for 2-3 days. And that was the difference. That was the difference where I understood points. And that could have hit you, or oh, that would have hurt. Compared to, oh, that did hit you, that did hurt. Okay. And that was where the beginning of some of the toughening came. I remember there was a bag, and I'd beaten on the bag so much and gotten bloodied and bruised and just loved that bag. And came in one day, and damn if I didn't just go into a session, and before I knew it, it ripped off the wall and fell. And he's like, that bag's been up for 8 years. I'm like, well, that explains why. It's not because I'm the toughest guy in the world. The bag's been up for... He goes, no, it's the point. He goes, much bigger, tougher guys than you hit it. And no. So there's things that don't always have to make sense. And that you get to just smile and go, the universe gave me a one-up. Okay, I like that. I remember when he bought a sandbag. If you don't know what a sandbag is, it's about this round, and it's about 9 feet tall. Just head to toe leather filled with sand. You guessed it. Well, the lower down you go, the harder it is. At the top, it's almost soft. The bottom, it genuinely feels like you're hitting concrete. And you'd hit it and you'd bruise yourself immediately. And that's what we use to kick and practice with our shins. Until eventually you stop bruising. Until eventually now you start bending that bag. And when you can start denting it, and when you can start hitting it with full power, and it doesn't not only hurt you, but you're hurting other things now you're getting close. And that was right at the time of, again, we're going to put little timelines in the global world of scheme of things. That was perestroika. That was the fall of the Soviet Union. That was when that experiment of communism after 72 years failed, and they went a completely different way. And that was the same year that my dad said, hey, you know what? You're 18. You've never been back to Russia to visit where you were born. Let's go. And I went, okay. And I went on like a month-long sabbatical with my dad. And we went to visit Vitebsk in Belarus, White Russia, where he's from. And while we were there, staying with family, this was interesting. They found a martial arts school. It was right out of an 80s martial art movie. So we're going in. You're taking a bus to an industrial area. Now it's filled with warehouses and a place that if you got mugged, nobody would know. If your car broke down, you got a long walk to get back to civilization. And I'm looking and it's getting worse and worse, and diapilated metal and just car husk rusted body over here, kind of a junkyard, kind of a graveyard, kind of a what the hell's going on here, industrial scary place. And then there's just this nondescript door. And you're all right, and you open up the door and you got to go down 2 flights of stairs. Down. And down in the basement, was this giant 100-foot polished wooden floor with the largest painted yin yang I've ever seen. It must have been about 80 feet circle. It was incredible. That was the training gym. And that's where I went to train every day. And it was such a completely different training. Because they don't have the fancy pretty shorts or the fancy North American gloves. Because they train hard style. And it taught me something different. When you have your instructor look at you as money, I was in the ring, I was in a martial arts style, I got hit, I flew back, I started breathing, oh my God, I lost my breath. He runs over, are you okay? Okay, I'm so sorry, are you okay? And I'm like, he should, he's a nice person and he's a good instructor and all of that. But at the same time, I had another instructor who wasn't in that same way. He was classical Russian trained, he was teaching Systema, and when he hit me, and I flew and got winded, I was looking to see would he come over, would he apologize, would he help me up, would he care? He just looked at me and went, ready? And I'm like, oh shit, things are different. Things are different when you spar with somebody and they say, I will only hit you as hard as you hit me. And you're like, that should be the first sign that you should be nervous. You should be nervous in a big way. Knowing that that's kind of the way that we go through life. And that every single person that's going through their journey, whether it's a martial art journey, whether you see these milestones and such as turning points, when you're trying to take your philosophy and go beyond the dojo, focus on the resilience, focus on the adaptability, focus on the discipline and the beauty that comes with that. That discipline gives you freedom. I know it sounds crazy, but it does. And look at those core principles. Look at the balance in physicalness and on your life, right? Like the focus, the perseverance. How are they going to translate to mental resilience? When you're practicing staying present in a sparring match so that you don't go, huh? And then get kicked in the head. Think of that in terms of how many times a day that happens to you. And you can improve that mindfulness in everyday situations as if it was a sparring match. I'm going to want you to highlight the importance of humility and learning from those setbacks, because that's where the real lessons come from. Those challenges, those difficulties, those obstacles, where you bite off more than you can chew and then proceed to chew it. And then let's look at some daily rituals. So incorporate small martial art inspired habits, moving in what you would consider a martial arty way. Taking 5 minutes to do some shadow boxing, imitate something you saw in a movie, stretches, moments of meditation. Do some mindfulness in motion, right? Mindfulness in action. So intentional breathing, especially during stressful moments. Goal setting and discipline, but in a martial art way. So focus on achievable progress rather than perfection. The Van Damme spinning heel thing, my splits probably weren't perfect splits. They're probably more like a straddle. That's okay. I'm focusing on progress rather than perfection. And this will help with resilience training. So embrace those challenges. They are growth opportunities, just like sparring sessions. So much fun. You get to dance. You're going to be okay. You're going to be fine. It's not like the ultimate aim of martial arts isn't victory or defeat, but in the perfection of character. Your character. This is your daily struggle against you to be a better you. Always. So in that context where I went full circle, and after years, I abused my body through skateboarding and took my left knee and hyperextended it, which means bent it backwards past the good way that it's supposed to stop at 90. And did that about 6 times in the space of 2 years. And so just kind of hanging that ACL on a limb, put the skateboarding aside for a couple minutes. And it also kind of slowed down the martial arts for a couple years. And then it just felt like, I'm terrified to do anything that could hurt that. And that's where I'm going to close today's episode on. Because that was one of the biggest things that I overcame to get to this place. And I think it's the most powerful of all the lessons. Sometimes we got to do that thing that we're scared will hurt us because it'll strengthen us. It'll heal us. It'll help us. It'll make us bigger and better than we ever were. And yet it's the thing we're the most scared of. And I don't mean like, do that thing. Like, I don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. That scares me. That's not what I mean. I mean in a very physical way. So when I went to Iaido, the Japanese art of drawing the sword, 90% of it is kneeling on hardwood floors, which probably isn't the best thing to do because I couldn't sit in what the Japanese call seiza, when you're sitting in kneeling position. I couldn't sit in seiza for any length of time. 10, 15 seconds I think would hurt. And my knee would just go like, no, we do not like this. But through the space of the next several years, it did like this. And it got stronger. And I no longer was concerned. And I could trust it again. Because I felt that progress, not the perfection. I don't need my knee to be bigger and better than it ever was. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to be able to enjoy the things I've always wanted to. And martial arts and the mental discipline and the mental mastery and the mental training that comes from that is beautifully incorporated into your business life, into your daily life, into your relationships, into your happiness and health. If you ever want to have that discussion, have a little Greek mountain tea with me, reach out. My contact info's in the chat. Would love to say hi. Join us on LinkedIn. Just type The Frequency of Abundance, click groups, and we're there. Reach out to us if you'd like to be on the show. Reach out if you're a coach, a healer, a specialist, a financial advisor. Maybe you've got an agency of your own. As a marketing agency, we love to collaborate and play. Do a little white label, a little co-brand. Have some fun. It's a beautiful new year. We're on season 2. We are kicking it, baby. And I invite each and every one of you to come and join us. We have so much fun invited. Now, tomorrow's going to be an even awesomer Friday. And on Fridays, as you know, we got Fearless Fridays. Fearless Fridays are always going to be the one thing that gives us that woomph. We don't end the week on a, softly, quietly. We end it with a bang. So, 10 a.m. Monday to Friday, join us for our captivating talks of the week. And then, on the weekend, chill out, sleep in a bit, relax, and I'll see you at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Peace be with you and enjoy your mental training and journey from the martial arts or from wherever else you're coming from. See how it reflects and interconnects with the rest of your life. Looking forward to saying